Welcome to Coastside Poetry. Thanks to those of you who've Zoomed in and those who are watching on YouTube. We meet virtually on the second Tuesday of every month to celebrate spoken poetry. I'm Diane Mumi, your host for this evening. Our featured poet event is being recorded and streamed live onto YouTube as we speak. So anyone can look at it later. We'll be posting the link on our website, coastsidepoetry.org. This evening, we welcome Kathleen McClung. Kathleen's newest collection, Climbing the Fire Escape, Flipping the Raft, Poems on Women in Movies, arrived in September from Finishing Line Press. Her 5 previous books include Questions of Buoyancy, A Juror Must Fold in on Herself, Temporary Kin, The Typists Play Monopoly, and Almost the Rowboat. Her work appears widely in journals and anthologies. She lives in San Francisco. Please welcome Kathleen.
Thank you so much, Diane and Steve, and everyone who's here this evening. I'm so happy to see familiar faces and new faces, and I'm looking forward to the open mic with participants from here in California and beyond. So what I'm going to do is read from my 2 most recent collections. I'm going to start with 2 or 3 poems from my book, Questions of Buoyancy, which came out last year in the fall of 2024 from Longship Press, Marin County Press that I was delighted to work with. And then I'm going to move to my newest book, which, as Diane mentioned, just came out this fall, Climbing the Fire Escape, Flipping the Raft, Poems on Women in Movies. I'll read 2 or 3 poems from that book. This first book, Questions of Buoyancy, the poems in it were written pretty much all during Donald Trump's first term of office. And I chose to call the book Questions of Buoyancy because I was struggling during that time to kind of stay afloat. It was a very difficult time, as it is now, and I turned to poetry to try to give me courage, resilience, hope for the future. And I'm going to start with a poem called Tête-à-Tête, which is a villanelle. And it's about an encounter I had with a painter who has a little shop and gallery in my neighborhood here in San Francisco. Tête-à-tête. The handsome painter stops and comes outside, admires the Celtic knot around my neck. I notice how he's charming and blue-eyed and eager to explain with muted pride his flaming donut on display. I'm such a wreck. The handsome painter stops. I stand outside his studio and smile while he confides, with Trump, the world feels like a tiny speck, a crumb on fire. He's charming and blue-eyed. I'm listening, as women do. Decide this dance is one of commerce, not of sex. The handsome painter stops. We stand outside the window, gaze at his tight sphere of kelp beside blueberry donut blaze. I'll write no check. I'll slide no card. Although he's charming and blue-eyed, I don't desire seaweed or dough deep fried. My speed is more Matisse, Toulouse-Lautrec. The handsome painter stops, goes back inside. Pedestrians, beware. He's charming and blue-eyed. The second poem I'm going to read is a sestina. It's a little bit longer. And I have been going to cafes all my adult life, and I have been listening in on conversations pretty much all of my adult life. And this poem is about listening in on two men having a business meeting in a cafe. And they struck me as sort of, I don't know, young Trumpsters. This is called Getting to Yes. The two young men discuss a business deal. A microscopic table yokes their drinks. The one immediately to my left holds forth with fucking this and fucking that. It's clear he's passionate about some goal involving apps, investors, and himself. From where I sit, he seems to have no self-control, no editor within. The deal looms large, trumps all, perhaps the dearest goal he's ever had. The other fellow drinks iced coffee slow, inserts a question that I don't quite hear. A zinger, though, it's left a mark. The fucking man who's on my left falls mute, blinks hard. This pause he gives himself, maybe the first in years. I notice that the volume overall descends, the deal entwining all of us eavesdroppers, drinking cappuccinos here. Our tacit goal, take in the juiciest tidbits, the gold of dialogue, and yet appear we've left each other all alone with separate drinks at separate tiny tables. I myself have listened in for 50 years. Ideal apprenticeship for specializing at the FBI in covert this and that. But I digress. Returning to the goal at hand, we pseudo spies lean in. The deal is hanging by a thread. So much is left unsaid by fucking man who finds himself surrounded by big ears, small screens, and drinks unsipped. Suspense now peaked. Nobody drinks until at last he blurts a sentence that has no four-letter words at all, no self-aggrandizing bluster. It's bland. Another goal's been met. The two shake hands, and we are left to drain our cups and text our kids and click on deals. Free drinks with each Big Mac, pedometers that track our self-improvement goals. We cut our deals. What lies ahead, what's left behind. And this third poem I'm going to read from Questions of Buoyancy is a poem written during the dark times of COVID. I'm only going to read one COVID poem tonight since we want to get it far behind us. But I wrote this double sonnet during COVID when there was a lot of outdoor music. And I was so grateful to musicians performing on porch steps and sidewalks and keeping our spirits buoyed during COVID. So this is actually a mirror sonnet, meaning it goes forward and then goes backwards over the same lines in slightly different variations. And it's called To the Jazz Combo, Setting Up on the Sidewalk Outside the Wine Bar. Forgive me, gulping down the Cabernet and asking for my check. Forgive me, zipping up my coat, and hurrying away. I mean no disrespect. A warm friendship, in fact, may well have formed in other falls, Novembers past, or those to come, but not this twilight on this street. The hospitals are filling, libraries all locked. We thought we'd sailed past the worst, but we were wrong. The worst surrounds us now, and I must flee musicians, drumsticks, stand-up bass. Your songs may soothe, may soar, but you're too close to me. I haven't drunk enough to keep me here. Discard my caution in our COVID year. Discard my caution in our COVID year. I haven't drunk enough to keep me here. You'll soothe, you'll soar, but you're too close to me, musicians. Drumsticks, stand-up bass, your songs. The worst surrounds us now, and I must flee. We haven't sailed past the worst. Our wrongs are filling, libraries all locked. I thought, twilight in this street. But hospitals, November's packed, and those to come may not, in fact, be well. What forms in other falls? I mean no disrespect, just warm friendship. I zip my coat. I'm hurrying away. Forgive me, asking for my check, no tip. Forgive me, gulping down the Cabernet. So I'm going to move now to probably three poems from my book, Climbing the Fire Escape, Flipping the Raft, poems on women in movies. All of these poems were written during the COVID pandemic when I watched a whole lot of movies. I've been a movie fan all my life, but during COVID, I watched even more movies. And I paid close attention to the women characters in each of these movies, ranging from big blockbuster movies with lots of shootings and car chases to, small, intimate, independent films where there's a lot of silence. But I paid attention to the women characters, and I was really looking for, first of all, ways to escape the isolation of the pandemic, but I was also looking for ways to stay strong as a woman. And so these characters, some of them are battling monsters, some of them are battling, bad guys, and some are just like trying to get through the day. So I'm going to start with another mirror sonnet. And I don't know if you've seen the movie The River Wild, but Meryl Streep, a younger Meryl Streep plays a river raft guide who, as a mature woman, goes on yet another raft trip, and she meets these bad guys on the raft trip, and you'll hear what happens. The River Wild Mirror Sonnet for Meryl Streep. Gail Hartman, 40-something, fit and circumspect, teacher, mother, wife. Her husband Tom's an architect, too buried in his work to fly to Idaho for their son Rourke's raft trip. Gail mourns, but packs the gear into the boat, a skilled guide years ago. Rourke befriends two guys, scores a ball cap from Wade, who chats up Gail, applauds her rafting expertise. In mid-flirtation, Tom shows up. He's changed his mind. It turns out Wade and Sidekick are ex-cons. They've pulled a heist. Now on the lam, they need Gail's help. Wade's got a gun, aims at Rourke's dog. He punches Tom. and kills a cheerful ranger in a red kayak. Gail and Tom devise a plan. They'll flip the boat, and Wade can't swim. They reconcile, but Wade won't drown. Gail ends up shooting him. They reconcile, but Wade won't drown. Gail ends up shooting him. She and Tom devised the plan to flip the boat. Wade couldn't swim, but killed a cheerful ranger in a red kayak. Wade had a gun, aimed at Rourke's dog, and punched Tom. They pulled a heist, were on the lam, needed Gail's help. It turned out Wade and Sidekick were ex-cons. In mid-flirtation, Tom showed up. He changed his mind and sought out Gail to praise her rafting expertise, but Rourke befriended two guys, scored a ball cap from Wade. So much gear in the boat. Gail, a skilled guide years ago, now led Rourke's raft trip, mourned her husband's pact, so buried in his work. He flew to Idaho. Teacher, mother, wife to Tom, an architect. Gail Hartman, 40-something, fit and circumspect. If I have time, I'm going to read two more poems. I hope that works out time-wise. One of my all-time favorite movies is Thelma and Louise, starring Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis. However, like a lot of people, I was really, really not happy with the way that movie ended. So this poem, A Villanelle, rewrites the ending. It's called Thelma and Louise Alternate Ending for Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis. No driving off the cliff into blue sky. Instead, you pocket the ignition key, surrender to a system that will try you fairly, understanding fully why you shot a rapist, why you had to flee and drive off in a panic, warm night sky, embracing, sheltering. You testify, the courtroom still, but steeped in empathy. Surrender to our system. Wise allies will counsel you, lend hands and minds, untie hard knots of fear and guilt. And therapy will feel like driving into vast blue sky, yet bind you to our earth. Your bright new life, belonging to a sisterhood of me too, and surrendering the search for why it happened on your fishing trip. Mourn, cry, but hold fast to your ingenuity. No driving off the cliff into blue sky. Surrender. Craft new systems. Do not die. And I'm going to end my reading with the last poem in the book, and probably the movie I've seen the most of all of these poems in the book. I started watching this movie when I was probably 4 or 5 years old, and I watched it lots and lots of times over the decades. It's an abecedarian, meaning the first line begins with A, second line begins with B, and the last line of the poem begins with Z. And I addressed this poem not to Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, but to her Auntie M, who stayed in Kansas the whole time. And I thought, I'd like to give Auntie M a little advice about how best to welcome Dorothy back from Oz. So thank you all for listening. Really enjoyed reading for you all. And this last poem I'm going to read is called The Wizard of Oz, Abecedarian, for Clara Blandick. Auntie M believe her. While you, Henry, and the farmhands huddled below ground, Dorothy ran with Toto in her arms, crossed dry Kansas soil, her gingham dress slapping like a ship's sail. She used every muscle to pull against the storm cellar door. Frantic, she stomped again and again with her shoe. Girls everywhere witnessed the advancing tornado, wished her family underground would hear her, rescue her. But no, instead, we saw your house swirl into the sky, Dorothy inside, journeying alone, so far from her kin. Em, you must be kind. Be patient with her. Reconciling may take a long time for you both. She has slept among poppies, seen so many colors you never will, appraised radical new ideas, dreaded sand draining through a witch's hourglass. Oz has changed her. People do return to their roots, embrace wholeheartedly their quiet kin, resume crocheting projects, braiding rugs, canning for winter. Listen closely to her stories, though, Em. She may speak fondly of scarecrows, lions, tin men. She may stammer about dark sky under the wings of flying monkeys, a man's voice and face enormous in a hall, until Toto, with his small dog mouth, pulled back a curtain, exposing an unremarkable fellow, a huckster in a bolo tie. Your faith will be tested, Em. Sit together in the parlor. Repair zippers in trousers for the farmhands. There's no place like home. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Kathleen. Thank you so much. I'd like to welcome folks to unmute and make noise and talk.
Next.
Thank you.
So much. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I love the Wizard of Oz one and talking back to Auntie M.
Yeah.
What a great idea. Love it.
I love all the
Kathleen, that was a
characters.
magnificent reading.
Not only are your poems glorious, Kathleen, but the way you read them is really entrancing. And thank you for this glorious book and all your other books, too.
Storytelling is wonderful, and just the characters we meet in your poems, you really bring them into the room in a very 3D way. Appreciate that.
I really like, Kathleen, the mirror type poetry that you fabricated there. That was very delightful. Thank you.
Kathleen, it was so nice to hear some of your poems after attending a workshop that I was in that Kathleen led this past weekend in the East Bay. And I highly recommend, by the way, if you get another chance to do so and take one of her workshops. I found it extremely heartwarming, edifying, and useful on so many levels.
Writers and
Go ahead.
writers and poets think out of the box, and you, Kathleen, don't even have a box, because I just loved the mirror sonnet. I loved the what's that word? Obsedarian, is that correct? And the different ways you think and are creative. It's just so inspiring to me, and I will definitely take your workshop. Thank you for that that suggestion. So thank you.
Shauna asked in the chat if you would ever do any on Zoom. I know I'm very happy to be out doing things live more than anything, but for some of us, it's hard when we're not living there. So I just wonder. It's nice to have something.
I have taught on Zoom. I taught on Zoom all through COVID. And since we've been, back from COVID, I've been mostly teaching in person. I will be teaching in 2026, and I will be meeting with my coordinator, and I'll let her know that there's interest in a Zoom component. So stay tuned for sure. I love teaching. I love teaching in person and on Zoom, and I'd love to, work with you all. So stay tuned, and we'll see about at least one Zoom in 2026. Yeah.
Thank you, Kathleen. As always, I am just bowled over by how you take this content and seamlessly weave it into a form. So we hear the music and we have the rhythm, and at the same time, I'm just riveted by the story of the poem. So it's just always inspiring. That Thelma and Louise poem, I know I've read it before, but that was, I was just absolutely stunned, and it kind of made me cry at the end. It was really very powerful and
Thank
beautifully
you.
read.
When I teach my classes, I say to students, if you're crying while you're writing or while you're reading, that's a good sign. It means, you've really zeroed in on core material. And I just want to say to everybody, Sharon Preddy, thank you for that lovely comment, Sharon, is a fantastic poet, as is everyone on this call. Sharon is someone who's submitted to the MacGuffin, where I'm a poetry editor. And about a year ago, we nominated Sharon's poem for Best New Poets. And not only did we nominate her from the MacGuffin, but she was accepted, and her poem appeared in Best New Poets. So be on the lookout for Sharon Preddy, y'all.
Thank you.
Hey, Sharon.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say thank you, Kathleen. I really don't know your poetry. This was a great surprise to me, and it is incredibly refreshing. I just felt after having heard you that I ought to take another look at how I look at things. It was really, truly wonderful. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Myrna. Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you. All of your comments really mean the world to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kathleen. We'll stop recording in a moment. Those of you in the Zoom room, please stay online if you'd like to take part in the open mic. Thanks to all our YouTube listeners. Please tune in for our next regular Coastside Poetry event on Tuesday, December 9th, when we will welcome all of us as our feature. Another open mic. So thanks so much for joining us at Coastside Poetry and for helping to keep the lamps of poetry burning.